Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Okay, so last week, and this happened right around 8 o'clock, we had a discussion. I brought up about, I had to sign a will last week. We had to make a will, which was a very tedious process to go through who gets kind of what. Mostly it wasn't about what we have, because we don't, have this big house or anything, but we don't have a house at all. We rent. I got a Nissan Rogue. I mean, it's not even all paid off.
You're like, I want the rent. I want rent control for my daughter. It's like Friends.
We had to decide, though, who gets to take care of Harper, who does take the money and provide it to her, and all that kind of junk. Everybody's had a will, and I haven't had one. So we had to get a will and get it done. So we did, and we went and signed it. But I didn't expect this question to come up in it that threw me off, where the lawyer, we're sitting there, says, select the best statement below that expresses your wishes. Mm-hmm. The quality of my life is more important than the length of my life. That's terrifying alone right there, that statement.
It's a tough sentence.
And then the next one was you can choose, staying alive is more important to me no matter how sick I am.
I'm not leaving.
Which is on brand for me, because I just am afraid I'm going to miss something like another solar eclipse, or whatever. Like a total solar
what if
eclipse.
Jane's addiction works it out?
Exactly.
Come on.
This is so true.
I really just want to be around no matter how long. And I do quote Star Trek when the doctor, after his dad suffered for 10 years, he finally pulled the plug, and then they found a cure 6 months later.
You know what's annoying about that? Is Star Trek isn't a true story, so they didn't have to write that. They just made it horrible for no reason.
Yeah, it was part
They
of
just did that to this fictional guy for no reason.
a guy who was no character at all. It was the guy's
dad. It was
dad.
so unnecessary to be like, haha, this sucks. They pulled the plug on you right before the cure.
Well, I don't want to get in the weeds on Star Trek, but it was part of the plot that helped understand what was going on.
I feel like it was unnecessary to do to him.
So when I was sitting there with my will and they said those questions, my wife instantly said, without hesitation, well, quality of life is important. And then the lawyer and my wife were just kind of staring at me. Say quality of life, it's more important. And I wanted to say staying alive is more important to me no matter how sick I am or how many funds I drain. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't say it because they're all just looking at me. And then even Megan said, my wife, Caring, said, hey, it's your life. You should choose what you want. And I go, no, quality of life probably sounds about right. That sounds fine, I guess.
You just wanted to fill that out privately like a voting ballot.
Yeah.
Why does everyone have to know what I'm doing until I die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, but if I want to change it now, it's going to cost a couple $100 or something with the will, and I want to change. I really do want to change it.
Yeah.
So if anybody listening, my wishes are what you're hearing now. Mm-hmm. You guys got to back up. You guys got to go to Megan when I'm dead and say.
Did you just write a note when you're about to die, and it just isn't that a free update to your will and cite it? Does it work?
I don't, because there's got to be witnesses, notification. There's going to be, who are you going to trust? We're at a lawyer with a witness signing this.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have that.
You just stick a Post-it note to the fridge,
yeah.
So you don't have to pay for the amendment.
I mean, am I going to be over at Lizzie McNeil's at the bar, and I'm going to say, hey, I changed my mind. Hey, bartender, come be my witness here.
I think I have to send this audio to your doctor now.
You have to do what now?
I think I have to send this audio to your doctor.
Well, that's true. What if we sent the audio in?
Is your doctor a listener of the Brian and Kenzie podcast?
Of course.
Okay, well, then there you go. I think you're covered now.
Yeah, but what if I'm in, Wisconsin and I get in a car accident?
If you're in Wisconsin, there's a bigger problem.
I mean, do you really want to live that long if you're no kidding? Wisconsin. Damn Green Bay Packers.
Listen,
no.
Forget about the Packers. The brats and cheese? Yes, thank you. Put that in the IV. I'll be good.
I don't think we have to worry about you living that long, I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is a bridge you're going to have to cross.
So I want to know if, with listeners to chime in this conversation at 312-591-8300, do you have a will and do you have your wishes in there? Because I just was really caught off guard by this question. I just thought I was signing over who's going to take care of Harper, and instead I got in this big mess. Big mess. I mean, do you have your wishes, what you want, Kenzie, what you want done?
My death wishes?
Yeah, for example, when 311 was here in the lounge, I told Peanut, the bass player, that, you guys are doing my funeral. I have that. And he laughed so hard. And he goes, well, I guess it'll be last man standing with the band or you, whoever's alive. Hopefully we all live a long time, and it might just be Nick left playing acoustic guitar, but maybe we'll all be around. Who knows?
That'd be gorgeous.
Oh, it'd be great.
My problem is I feel like I don't want an open casket because, I'm not going to look good, and I'm not in charge of that.
Y'all look great.
And that bothers me.
Those people do wonders.
I don't need that to be the last memory. What if somebody dresses me like ass or doesn't curl my hair right?
Well, you can tell them what you want.
And everyone's it didn't end well for her. Huh? That's going to piss me off.
You can't trust somebody to put the right dress on and makeup.
I don't know. Like, what if they don't do a good job? What if I look fat in that position? And then everyone's like judgy at my funeral. I'm going to be like super annoyed.
You can't say, like, this is my best side. I want to be on this side.
Just put, like, no, pull up my Instagram. I don't need to be there. You know what I mean? Like, I would prefer that.
Okay.
I wanted to be cremated, I felt like, because the idea of I'm scared I'm going to be alive and get stuck in the box.
Me too.
I'm super scared of the whole box thing. Because, like, what if I'm alive? What if we don't know that? What if when you die, your spirit actually stays in your body and then it feels trapped or something? What if we don't know? Okay? So I wanted to be cremated, but my husband doesn't want to be. And I have a problem with that because I'm not going to have, like, some other bitch at the cemetery laying next to him. So I'm like, okay. So I feel like I have to wait to see what happens with him.
I think you can make that in your will. Know some other bitch next to my husband in the ground.
That's going to annoy me. Like,
but you could probably make that wish.
Right.
It's your dying wishes. Somebody better follow him.
So I'm going to have to kind of see what happens with him first, or we'll have to see the order of operation.
Hope everybody lives a long time. And I'm, like I said, jumping here. Case, do you know what you want to do?
I want open casket. I want people to see that I'm gone.
Yeah.
I want to really mess with people's day. I want that to be a lasting image in their head for a long time that I'm finally out of here.
Will they shave your mustache?
I hope not.
I mean, I'm just saying, do you want to have
I'd
the
like to
mustache?
be buried with the mustache.
Okay.
That'd be weird because this has kind of become my look. If I went mustacheless into the ground.
That's what I'm saying, is that you have no control over it. I'm not into that vibe.
And then God might confuse me for somebody else. I'll get to the pearly gates. He's like, well, I thought Case was up next, but this guy doesn't have a mustache. He must be going to hell for eternity.
Listen, Kenzie, you don't know this, but I knew Case pre-mustache.
Oh.
5 years ago, he had no mustache. So I think if you're at the funeral home, I'm going to sneak in and shave your mustache off.
It's like a jackass prank.
You know what? Make it like a Hitler mustache. And then everyone would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Don't deface my body. I'm not graffiti
This
downtown.
is exactly what I'm saying, though. This is why I'm not doing open casket, because I think that's funny. So what if somebody does it to me? I'd be mad. Because I'll deserve it, and I know that, so I don't want any part.
I promise I won't save your mustache. I promise, Kenzie, I won't do it. Okay, should I take line one here?
Yes, let's talk to Amanda, the hospice nurse. She has some advice for you, Brian, on what to do at the end of your life.
Wow. Amanda, ahoy, welcome in. I bet you see a lot. I bet you know a lot about this.
Ahoy, I do. And it's honestly the most favorite job I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
But part of my job is educating people on quality versus quantity of their life. And that's a question I have to ask people every single day.
Okay.
So really, when you're asked about quality versus quantity, it's what do you want the end of your life to look like when you are sick, when you maybe can't make the decisions for yourself. Think about it. Do you want to be like an old, crinkly bag of bones that can't move around unless somebody else moves you like a marionette puppet? Or do you want to be doing things on your own volition, and when you can't anymore, let life naturally take its course?
You know what the problem is with Brian is he knows that he said till death do us part, and this way Megan can't date anybody. And I know that's what you're thinking. I know it.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
So we're talking about, I had to sign a will last week, and I said I want quality of life at the end if something horrific happens instead of quantity, but really I wanted quantity, and now I got to change it somehow without looking like an a-hole.
That's good. You can't be honest, and now Megan has to spend $500 on your mistake.
It really does suck because the lawyer was looking at me and Megan, they were all looking at me I just kind of felt like they wanted me to say quality, and I like, hey, I want to make sure I'm around to see what happens.
I love that because, you know, my problem is I'm like, I don't want to get stuck in the box, but I don't want my husband buried next to some other bitch, so I can't deal with that. So
You got a big problem there.
I know. 312 texted in, love this. She said, my mother was cremated, and you can have your ashes buried on top of somebody else. So if you want to be buried with your husband, that way you don't have to worry about the hole in the other casket. You'll be right on top.
That's
Perfect.
really good.
So I'm really happy about that. I feel pretty good about it.
But he has to die first.
Yeah. Well, I can make sure that happens. Don't worry. Way ahead of you.
All right. Also on the text line, 630 checked in. I want to be fed to lions and sharks after donating my organs.
That's very nice.
I
You
love
think they're
that.
going to be like, God, this person's not filling at all.
A lot of skin.
Yeah. A little cartilagey, huh?
You know
Not
when
a
you,
good eat.
you know when you get that like a rotisserie and like Costco rotisseries are so huge.
Yeah, like juicy.
And if you go and get one that's not big, just let's say somewhere
Yeah.
else, and you're kind of like,
A little gristly.
yeah, not filling.
Yeah.
The shark says that.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Oh, that's too bad.
They're not there for the bone and skin, baby. This is horrible. They love a good kidney.
I usually love the flavoring of human liver, but this guy doesn't have any liver.
There's nothing in here.
Terrible.
What a joke.
What do you got on the text line, Case?
Jason from McHenry checked in and said, until my voice and eyes stop working, some unlucky person is going to carry around my old, wrinkly body all day, every day. Which made me think, Brian, if you go open casket, your family's probably going to have to pay more because you're going to need an extra large casket.
Could you imagine that a pallbearers for Brian?
Oh, my God. He's going to need UFC fighters at his funeral.
It's normally 6. You have to have at least 10. You have to have 5 per side, for sure.
I'm 6'4" and a quarter. There's got to be 6'4" people that have died before. They've had to figure this
I know,
out.
but it's just a lot more work.
Yeah.
What
At
if-
least 10 pallbearers.
I promise to cut weight before I die.
That's good. Thank goodness.
That would be a
for
little
everybody
lighter.
else.
For
What about
everybody.
like a ramp system? Can we shoot your casket down a ramp into the ground?
Maybe some wheels.
It looks like a
Push it.
bobsled.
Is this like a Red Bull,
Yeah, like
dirt bike
like a
ramp?
street luge. Like a soapbox ramp.
It would just be so much work. Yeah, especially if your brothers are involved because they're all tall like you.
Not as tall as me, though.
But okay, settle down. How does the height, how does a height discrepancy work?
Well, you've never
Because
been.
you have to get all pallbearers to be the same height.
I've been a pallbearer, sadly. But have you been a pallbearer? Never been one?
Do I look like I could be a pallbearer?
I think you could be a pallbearer.
I haven't played on the offensive line either. What kind of question is that? You can't be a pallbearer. You have to.
Somebody's got to be
You can't
underneath.
pick a small person to be a pallbearer.
You could be underneath, your head holding up, walking underneath everybody.
You absolutely need to be. You have to pick like larger people in your life to be a pallbearer. You can't pick the small people.
Not everybody are CrossFit people that carry caskets.
Well, I know. Like, I would pick you. So good luck with that. That's gonna suck for you because like you're big. You're not CrossFit. I know that.
Yeah. I'm going to be exhausted.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 coming in over the weekend. It had to pollute your timeline at some point. The Jane's Addiction fight on stage. Perry Farrell and Dave Navarro. Perry Farrell, of course, when we're talking about festivals, created Lollapalooza and still does it, services that every year. He's still there. He's still backstage running everything for Lollapalooza every year here in Chicago. And he was in Jane's Addiction back in the day, 34 years. It's been really 30 years since they've done a show with the original lineup. They've carried on a little bit. And Dave Navarro, the guitar player who was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers for an album, and that didn't work out too long. He married famously to Carmen Electra, but more recently has been fighting long COVID for a couple years. I mean,
Years?
Yes, really in bad shape. He finally gets it together and with Perry Farrell to reform Jane's Addiction, and a band that I remember fondly as a youth, cranking nothing shocking all day long in my bedroom. So they get on stage, they played some shows, but tensions have been building apparently, and it led to, in Boston, again, this fight video that's on all of our Q101 socials pages, you can see it, but where all of a sudden it looks like Perry Farrell attacks Dave Navarro, the guitar player, in the middle of a song. Drummer kept playing.
So
Drummer
that's not
sounds
part of the
great.
song.
What's that?
They're not just screaming in the song.
No.
Oh.
So now they're fighting right now. And, Perry Farrell got in Dave Navarro's face and then took a punch at him. And Dave Navarro's just sitting there going like, hey, chill, bro. Like, what's going on? And to describe the scene, if you've never seen them, like Perry Farrell is 65 years old now at this point. Looks like he weighs about 90 pounds. And Dave Navarro in that same age range looks like he weighs about 40 pounds. I mean, these are small guys.
They're flyweights. They're bantamweights, if you will.
What were they getting mad at in the middle of a song? Like, nobody could have even said anything.
That's the point of contention where some people were saying that Perry Farrell was seen chugging a bottle of wine. Maybe it was that related to it. Now, Perry Farrell's wife has a whole different story of what happened. But
Okay,
but first,
spill the tea, sis.
But first, before we get to that, I have to know how much I laughed at this fight and watching it over and over again because it took about 4 guys to take down Perry Farrell, he must be wiry strong. One of those, you ever have those guys in your life, or girls, that you look at them and don't think they're strong, and then you actually get in like a little wrestle match with them, and they go, oh my God, they could pick me up.
Yeah.
Wiry strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my husband felt that way about me. Because I've like punched him in the arm before, and he's like, "That's enough."
He
We're
goes,
just playing around. He's like, "It's not fun. I don't like it."
it's kind of like in Fight Club when he goes, "Ow!
Yeah, he's like not into
You
it.
hit me in the arm."
I'm like, "Sorry, two brothers."
Yeah, you never can judge some people that don't look like they're ready to fight. Perry Farrell looks like he can take people down. Or they have to get younger, stronger roadies.
No, those guys look big.
They did, but they might have those what I call popcorn muscles.
Oh, maybe.
Where guys have big arms, but they really aren't that strong. They can't fight. They can't do anything with them.
Yeah, they're just big boned.
They just look good. They just look good with muscles, but they're not really anybody that could tussle.
I just think Perry's been dreaming of this moment for 30 years now. And so it was 30 years of rage that they had to maintain on stage. It was not an easy thing to do.
Well, I would have to say, Perry Farrell with Lollapalooza for this long doesn't need money. I never like to count people's money, but I imagine he's doing okay. And Dave Navarro had the tattoo show on
Ink Master, baby.
Ink
Not
Master.
the tattoo show. He had Ink Master.
My bad.
It's a big one.
Big one.
Love it.
And
Love it.
he's had a lot of side hustles. He's had a lot of things where he made money that way. So I'm not saying they necessarily needed to do this for money. However, we're in this big nostalgia wave right now where every band is coming out to do a tour because they think they can all make, $50 million, $100 million. And maybe they can. I want to see Jane's Addiction. I want to go see that show September 24th at the Aragon. I wanted to if it's going to happen. Now I kind of really want to go. I'd like to see a fight and a concert. It'd be good.
Have you ever seen a fight on a stage at a concert, though?
I thought about that. I was trying to think if there was one time I ever saw band members fight, and nothing's coming to my mind.
It's way more fun on video than it is in the room. Because I saw a band fight each other at Shuba's a few years ago. It's not fun when you're in the room.
Well,
No, because you're thinking like, I'm probably not going to get a refund. And I don't think this is going to continue. It's all fun and games to us. But their concert ends.
Exactly. Like, this was 2 years ago at Shuba's. It was an opening band. It wasn't even the headlining band at Shuba's. It's a punk rock show. So you're talking the headliner played 30 minutes. They played all the songs they have, and they're all 2 minutes long. They played 30 minutes. The opening band, from start to finish, was on stage for 55 minutes because the singer was drunk, the bassist amp was broken, and then in between every song, they would fight each other, and then the guitars would have to apologize to the audience for both of their behaviors, and then they'd play another song. It was the worst concert experience I've ever had.
It sounds like therapy,
It
kind of.
was.
Not to mention a fight at Shuba's, which holds like 100 people.
It's like a fight in your living room.
Well, I was going to say,
It's like they're touching you. You're like, stop it.
I mean, you're in
wanna be in
danger.
it.
You're in danger of getting hit.
I
at
felt like
Shuba's.
I was in danger.
Yeah. It's not like you're at any place bigger. There's not a place smaller than Shuba's. That's why it's great to go see a show there if you like the bands. But, man, that's dangerous.
It was tough.
I do know for a fact, well, I shouldn't say this for a fact. I didn't witness it myself.
Okay.
But when Creed broke up at the Allstate Arena, I heard that Mark Tremonti pushed Scott Stapp down some stairs. And then they went on and played the show. And I guess Scott Stapp was pretty loaded. And I remember he kind of laid on the stage and sang. And that was the last show they did until 10 years. That was 10 years gone. Until
What a bitch move. Push somebody down the stairs, like run.
Well, I don't think
That's like a bitchy fight thing.
Okay, I want to clarify. I didn't see it. And also, someone told me that, but I'm not sure he just pushed him from behind.
And then ran.
It wasn't like
That's how I imagine. Like, he's like pissing me off today. Boom. Like, come on.
No, I think they were fighting and ended up kind of rolling down the stairs, but that's how I heard it.
Using the stairs is bitchy. If it's
Yeah.
not like, if you're both trying to throw each other down the stairs, fine. But if it's your get out, that sucks.
It's kind of like Showgirls.
Yeah.
When the one girl pushed the other girl
Very-
down the stairs.
Very bitchy. If you know what I'm saying. On point.
I think that hopefully that's not what it looked like. Hopefully
I'm
it was.
not like, what a man. He just shoved somebody down the stairs.
So I don't know
not
if you've
good.
ever seen a fight on stage, I mean, you can always chime in at 312-591-8300. I don't think I ever have. I'm trying to remember. I have seen, I did see Guns N' Roses, the original lineup where they didn't show up for 3 hours, but the band didn't want to kick his ass. They just kept waiting. Slash, what you could see, kept coming out going, we got a problem on stage. The electricity's not working. Meanwhile, he's talking on the microphone on stage through the crowd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the electricity's working fine, sir.
So Axel just didn't want to come out?
No, he was out at strip clubs getting loaded, and apparently he showed up at about 1 in the morning and then just ran on the stage on all kinds of, medicinal things, and then delivered a killer show for 3 hours till 4 in the morning.
Sounds like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, but no one, I don't think anybody punched anybody.
No, they all sound like they're having fun.
Yeah. So Perry Farrell's wife was side stage, and she went on Instagram to say this, that she said, I thought a first-person account of what happened on stage with Jane's Addiction in Boston would be good here. So she said, who? Perry Farrell, Dave Navarro, fighting. How? Clearly, there had been a lot of tension and animosity between the members. The magic that made the band so dynamic, well, that dynamic was lit. Perry got up in Dave's face and body checked him. Now, she puts this thing, why? Well, Perry's frustration had been mounting night after night. He felt the stage volume had been extremely loud, and his voice was being drowned out by the band.
Okay.
Now, if you haven't noticed...
Well, bands are loud.
They're loud.
I've always said that.
They are. But if you, and Kenzie, you've been on stage, and Case has been on stage, and we do stage announcements, bands don't crank their amps loud anymore because they use in-ear monitors instead of the big monitors you see upstage.
Right.
So it's not as loud on stage as it used to be, and this helps these guys not go deaf. They have these little, like you have your AirPods in. That's what they have basically on stage now to listen to the other guys in the band. So really, bands don't crank too loud anymore, but my guess is that Dave Navarro, being old school, said, well, my amp's not loud enough, and just kept turning it up, and then the bass player turned it up, and then the drummer started playing louder, and before you know it, they can't hear Perry anymore.
All due respect to Perry Farrell, you sound like an old man when your complaints that the stage is too loud for you to sing.
I don't know if it's worth I don't know if it's worth ruining the concert. I feel like you can be like, listen, I'm not going on next time unless I'm part of the sound check to make sure it's the right volume. Like, you could just say something like that, I think.
I will say this, Kenzie, and having been in a band, I play guitar, and having been in bands, the sound check goes on, and then when I got on stage, I still turned my amp up. I just kind of walk over and go, "Nyeh." I don't care what that sound guy said. I'm going to be heard tonight.
More cowbell. Damn it.
And I could easily see Perry Farrell going like, hey, guys, if you could turn down a little bit, that'd be wonderful.
In fairness, maybe you just couldn't hear him because his amp was so loud.
That's what his wife is saying, that you couldn't even hear him, that everybody's amp was so loud. And Perry Farrell suffering, like a lot of guys in this age range, tinnitus, which is the ringing of the ears from all the years of playing loud concerts.
Yeah.
That's why I preach people should wear
earplugs. You didn't hear him say, please turn it down.
What? Turn it down.
He was like, thumbs up, like, yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
This sounds great, right?
Back together. We worked everything out. Bam.
No, it's loud. It's too loud. Turn it down. I know. It's great, isn't it?
It's a big misunderstanding, the whole thing.
Oh, man. So then, of course, no one was hearing Perry, and then he went up to Dave Navarro because he must have had the loudest amp and pushed him. But the funny part is that she puts in her post about who won the fight because people want to know who would win that. She says it wasn't either of them. It was Eric Avery, who's the bass player, who tried out to be the bass player of Metallica many years ago. That when Dave was keeping Perry at arm's length and they were trying to de-escalate and roadies jumped in, apparently Eric Avery came in and just threw some shots in the Perry Farrell.
That's awesome.
So he's like in a headlock by bouncers, and he punched him like 3 or 4 times while he wasn't looking.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, this is why I love women. Because look at this post. Who, why, when, where. Let's get into the details. Let's address it. Here's also a funny little anecdote about Eric jumping in. You ask a guy, like, oh, is there a fight? Between who? Guys. Why?
Yeah.
I know, they must have been mad about something. It's like, damn it, I get nothing. Women come with the details, baby. Thank God there was a wife on the side of the stage.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
All right, time for a fact that makes your brain go. 57% of Gen Zers, people aged 12 to 27, want to do this for a living. Well, I didn't ask you guys. What do you think it is, Kenzie?
So I think it's broadcasting. I think it's our job.
Oh.
Because I think people think it's like, oh, this will be fun. And then when you're starting in broadcasting and you have to work in like tiny markets, you have to move 800 times, you have to make no money, you have to work every holiday. It's like, well, this is ass.
This is ass.
Like and I get it. I remember somebody DMing me once going, hey, can you get some advice? I'm thinking about getting into sports broadcasting. And we were already like in our mid-20s.
Right.
And I go, hey, you need to like it a lot more than that. Because a guy going into sport being like, maybe I'd like to work for ESPN can't be the attitude. Like, you have to really like it because you're going to have the worst shifts ever for no money for like 10 years before.
As I've always said, because I love this to death, and I will always love it to death.
You have to.
I said, if you like it, don't do it. If you have to do it, then it's the best job in the world, and you'll love it to death on my deathbed.
If you think like when you see people and already successful, and you're like, that seems kind of fun. It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're seriously watching Shannon Sharp going, all right, I could. And you're like 25 and you're sitting on your couch DMing me that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. You have to be ready because this is going to suck
Well,
for
especially
a long time.
especially in the sports talk world, so many people have come up to me and go like, I can talk sports. My friends told me I know everything.
I used to play in high school. That's awesome.
My nephew wanted to be into sports broadcasting. I said, here's what you do. You got to start taking some steroids and play in the NFL for 10 years.
It's really hard.
Because he wanted to be a play-by-play guy for games, not just sports talk. He wanted to actually do the games. I go, you've got to either be that awesome straight guy like a Gus Johnson, or you got to be a player.
Right.
And it sucks. I'm sorry. That's the reality. But
I slept with a bunch of people, and you're like, not like that.
Yeah, you can do that too.
If you're good at sports.
That's still my holdout. I don't want to say my dream job because I can't imagine much things better than this.
Shots fired. Shut up.
Whoa.
Be honest.
But if I could do play-by-play, oh my God, I'd love to so much. That's like the one consistent since birth where if I could just do play-by-play for wrestling or baseball, I'd be so happy.
Well, I'll tell you what I told my nephew when he came to this. I said, you guys try go to a high school first and try to get in.
I have to go to high school?
You have to go to high school and try to intern for someone there doing games, which just means you're going to intern for 18-year-olds or 17-year-olds.
Wait a minute. I have to go back to high school?
You can't just walk into a Rams, Raiders game.
Why not? I'm a pretty funny guy.
You can't do it.
Not about sports.
I feel like that's the Seinfeld where Jerry's trying to find George a job, and he's like, George, what do you like? He's like, well, I like talk shows. I can be a talk show host.
Yeah.
I like baseball. I can be a baseball announcer.
And that's what I mean. It's like it's not going to start off fun. Look at Casey. He's already like, I can't do Major League immediately.
If you remember when he's telling that to George, he goes, well, they typically give those to guys that played in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And George goes, well, that's not fair. and Jerry goes, I know. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
You can't just walk into a building and say, I want to host a talk show.
Yeah.
I know, it's not fair.
But at the same time, I don't want to discourage anybody. I want to be a beacon of light. If I did this, somehow you could do it. You should always go after your dreams fully and don't listen to anybody else. If you really want to do it, don't listen to anybody. Except for the people that are doing it that might give you good advice.
Well,
That's
I
it.
would say, yeah.
But don't let
I would say
everybody.
if you know nothing about it, maybe you should listen to somebody.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good. Like, listen, people are so always ready to say, it's this hard, it's this hard. No, just go for it. Just go for it to do it. People told me even that in the beginning. It's dad, you don't want to get into that. I've had a blast. I'm happy. Do I sound happy?
No, you sound angry.
Look at the smile on this face.
I'm having fun.
All right. I forgot where we were. Oh, you thought it was broadcasting. Okay, 57% of Gen Zers
Where are we?
want to be this. Case, what do you think it is? It's your people.
I think it's IT, because you probably don't have to go into an office. You don't have to talk to a lot of people. You can just make older people feel stupid for not knowing how to use Outlook.
That's really good.
I know.
Yep. It's not IT. 57% of Gen Zers want to be influencers.
Oh, no.
Now, it sounds like a great job. Because in case you be out there, just post on social media and influence people, get a big following, and then you make money. Well, here's some of the numbers in being an influencer. So 57% want to be. I understand why. If you're a Gen Zer, why wouldn't you want to be an influencer?
Hell yeah.
It sounds like, why wouldn't I want to do that? So there are 4.2 billion people using social media around the world. So that's about half the world. There's 8 billion. Isn't that weird? It's only half the world's using social. What are the other half doing? Having a good time?
I probably don't have phones.
Electricity, running water.
Not everyone's like scrolling TikTok. People bigger, fish to fry, Brian.
I would think they're not depressed and not bummed out because social media kind of ruins lives in a lot of ways.
Oh.
No,
That's an interesting thing.
So anyway, 4.2 billion social media users. Out of that, 200 million are creators, which sounds like a lot of people, but that's just 4.7% of all people using social media actually make some kind of money. And then you go down and break down in the money. So the most people make less than $15,000 a year. Half of all those people make just that, 15 grand a year, which you can't really live on. Pretty tough. Anyway, I mean, I guess you could if you really skimp.
That's a pretty good side hustle for like photos and stuff that you're already doing, though.
Side hustle, but not a full-time hustle.
Right.
You got to have something else. So I don't know what that is. Now, less than a third make more than 50 grand a year. So about 28.9% of all those social media people that are creators make 50 grand or more, which that's righteous bucks. That's not bad if you can pull that off. You can live on that.
Yeah, you can work on that.
But it's funny because some people on TikTok have heard this stat and they go like, you don't understand how hard it is. It's Monday through Sunday, It's nonstop, 7 days a week, being a creator. It's not as easy as it sounds. Meaning you always have to create content every day. You have to do something. And I know that it's not just you with a cool hamburger. I mean, you got to create content that's engaging. Otherwise, you don't get followers that make the money.
Some things that are popular are very, very time consuming. When certain trends come out, I'm like, well, I don't have time for that trend. That's a lot.
I'm stunned when I stumble across my algorithm that there was just, an attractive woman dancing, like on TikTok, but I'm mostly on a Reels these days. And they have like 4.7 million followers, and that they can't even really dance. They're just doing the little
Well, they're doing better than that.
But they're not, though. Their dancing is not great, but they're attractive, and they somehow got. And there's other girls that do it, and they only have like 10,000 followers.
Right.
It's just wild how you can be the 4 million person.
If you were late to the dance party, some people started very early.
Late to the dance party.
They were. You can't start now dancing unless you're really, 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 really good.
I don't know.
The problem is that like a lot of people who are big on TikTok started it really, really early. So they're the first people that you followed. Now TikTok is very oversaturated. It's going to be difficult to get it. Now you'd be like early to the party, early to the dance party.
Case, it's too late to start your dancing TikTok account.
Well, luckily, you had a TikTok in 2020 where you were dancing on it.
That's the thing.
You were having a good time all the time as people were dying of COVID. So
I know, you were dancing to Britney Spears, but people were dying.
So you're good. Just hop back on. Everybody's already following you.
I have to be honest, you reading this, and you're like, it's just ridiculous. I'm starting to realize you're just mad because your video didn't take off. You're
That's
like,
right.
What's really the difference between me and them?
What is the difference? Because I had the same moves they did, and I had my hot wife in it. So
you did have your hot wife in it.
So like, what's the point? So that's the
you
thing.
made her cover up though.
That's the problem.
Big
She should show more
mistake.
skin.
She should have done it in a bikini.
Yeah,
what
that
were
would
you
have been
thinking?
awesome.
She wasn't wearing her burqa. I mean, she was covered up, but I mean,
Show some wrist, baby.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.